People are flocking to Texas for all sorts of reasons. I moved here just shy of 6 months ago so I could cover everything Tesla and SpaceX related and enjoy the vibrant nightlife and the awesome food here. Get this, a new report says that Austin could be the third biggest metro by 2100. It could surpass New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. But let's think shorter term. Right now, there are about 2.3 million people here in Austin. That number will be closer to 4 million by the mid-2030s, which basically means that we're doubling every 10 years. Ellie in Space here with Matt Holm, and I'm proud to say I'm finally in the Tesla Owners Club because I'm now a Tesla owner, which is very exciting. In fact, later today, we're gonna go pick up my wrapped Model 3.
Yes, we are.
So a lot of people are moving to Austin, a lot of jobs are in Austin. You've been doing real estate in Austin for several years now. You're a top agent in the area.
Yep, been at Compass now for 4 years, in the market here 15 years, sell more real estate than any other single agent in town annually, and stay very busy. And let's just say Musk Industries moving here has not been hurting business.
No.
He's hiring 300 people a week currently.
Wow.
A little bit of attrition, so they have to keep that hiring number up, but they're gonna get to, from what I hear, 28,000 at full capacity in phase 1 of Giga Texas.
Right.
That is a lot of people, and so they have to live somewhere. So either renting or buying or a combination thereof. So it's an exciting time to be here. And the growth story isn't just Elon, it's all the other companies. We have Google, Apple, Oracle, Amazon, all making really big strides here.
I was gonna say, and making pretty big paychecks if they're in tech. So how has that affected, you know, the housing market here?
So it is already a tight market, but then you start adding all those effects, and kind of the zeitgeist shift has been, we had been HR back office jobs for some of those larger companies, and now we're seeing headquarters move here like Elon's companies, but we're also seeing those HR jobs with Google and Apple transition into software engineer teams. Apple's building 3 million square foot campus in addition to their current 1 million square feet. Google just finished almost 1 million vertical square feet near downtown, which we'll drive by later. Amazon has 2 towers at the Domain. The expansion is unlike anything I've seen in any other city, other than maybe Silicon Valley, San Francisco area.
I feel like there are a lot of transplants here in Austin, including myself. Is it becoming a problem?
So traffic is the one problem, I will say. We're not prepared for that. Our infrastructure, for a long time, you know, we were a sleepy college town with a music problem. And the city council and the mayor said, well, if we bury our head in the sand and don't build the highways, then people won't come. Not so much. So now our highways are severely limited, especially on the west side. And really the expansion for highways is around where Elon's building, where we can continue to build half ring roads and expand going all the way towards Bastrop, which happens to be where Elon's building sort of Musk Industries headquarters, from Starlink to Neuralink to Boring Company, and of course the Gigafactory.
I haven't even been here 6 months, and
really?
some of those, I haven't even
That's crazy.
lived here
It seems
6
longer,
months. Right, because I visited so much. But I moved here mid-February, I broke my leg 3 weeks later, and even with all of that, I still just see so much opportunity here, even since I knew that this was going to be a great move for my channel. You know, Elon Musk now follows me on Twitter, and there's just so many opportunities in the city here of Austin. There's comedy, there's great food. So, you know, what are some of the things that you love about living in Austin?
I mean, the music is phenomenal. You can see fantastic bands up close in small venues. That's always been the case. The weather is a bit warm right now. If you can get away in the summer, that's great. But then we have water sports. Lots of lake opportunities around town. So we were on a boat this last week with the home team, and we're out, you know, cruising around and jumping in the water. Joe Rogan getting here has become an epicenter and a draw for the comedy mothership that he created, and there's a ton of musicians that have moved to town. So I think we're going to be a comedy epicenter. So the entertainment is unreal. It's world class from music and comedy. The art scene is coming along, and then we have a walkable downtown. And that's unusual compared to a lot of major metros where you have to Uber between different places. Here, when you're downtown, you can walk and you can get to 99% of what you want to see. And our downtown is focused really on entertainment. So it's music, it's event spaces, it's restaurants. And so everything that you want to do is sort of located within, say, 2 square miles.
So check this out. Behind me is about 33 high rises, but this skyline is projected to triple in the next 5 years. Projections are they're going to add about 60 mid to high rises downtown, so you can just imagine how crowded it's going to get. I hear a lot of people who grew up in Austin say it's just not the same as it used to be, which is to be expected. But I feel like these are good changes, and this really is a boomtown.
Well, Elon said it best, I think. It's going to be the biggest boomtown in the last 50 years in U.S. history. And it's not just the Elon effect, which I think it will surpass the Bezos and the Gates effect in Seattle. By the time he's at full capacity, I anticipate with all his companies, it's probably going to be 40, 50,000 workers specifically working for Musk Industries. And then estimates are each one of those jobs creates 3 or 4 other jobs of support for people that are there to either from housekeeping and landscaping and the jobs around the home, but also the suppliers and the contractors that are there to support what he's creating here. So you're talking the tune of 100, 120, 140,000 jobs potentially over the next, say, 36 to 48 months, just with the Elon effect and what he's creating here. And it's a long-term plan, so I think that growth will continue to happen.
Now, one of the things that I haven't done yet, and I'm sure Elon would support, is start a family. How is it to raise a family here in Austin and the surrounding area?
Great question. So my son was 2 weeks old when we moved here. My daughter was just under 4, and she's now 19 and going to NYU in the fall. My son is going to be a sophomore in college. I cannot imagine a better place to raise a family. We've had amazing success with the public schools here. Both kids have got a great cohort of friends. Teachers have been great. Neighborhood we're in is kind of magical. It feels like a throwback neighborhood where just everyone looks out for each other. We had a fire in the neighborhood the other day, and like 10 neighbors came out and were bringing buckets and hoses and driving down to they couldn't get through 911 away, or driving down to the fire department to get people. I mean, it's really amazing how people just come together here. And that's really the other piece that I think is important about Austin. When you come here, people open the door for you at the mall. They're friendly, they say hello. They want to know where you're from. They want to help you get directions somewhere. They want to tell you about the cool restaurant or bar or music event space or something that's going on. And so I don't think you get that a lot of places, and it's something that's unique. I hope we retain that spirit. I think people that are attracted to Austin hopefully retain that piece of Austin that made it special for them and why they came here. So I think we'll keep that spirit. That being said, there were 1 million people here in the greater MSA when I moved here. Now we have 2.3 million. Projections are by mid-2030s, somewhere closer to 4 million. So we're basically doubling every 10 years. That's a substantial amount of growth. And so what we're going to do today is really talk about where those growth patterns are, where the neighborhoods are, at least in the central area we'll probably hit today, and maybe we'll do some other neighborhoods later. But really, what does that growth look like? What do we have in downtown? What do the jobs look like, and where are they? And kind of where projected growths are for jobs, for housing, egress, ingress patterns, new highways. There's a lot of topics we can talk about that I'm familiar with, just because of contacts and just being here for so long and driving my Tesla 2,000 or 3,000 miles a month just locally. My Plaid S out there is just under a year and has almost 30,000 miles on it. And I've never done a road trip. It's all local. So
oh my gosh.
What we're going to do now, I do 5-6 days a week. So it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of driving.
It's a lot of driving. Well, I will say the full self-driving does help me a little bit.
Yeah.
So on the highway, I can get a little bit of work done maybe.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Don't cover the camera up with my little, well, I shouldn't give away too many secrets, but yeah, I can drive and get a little bit of work done and still get to where I'm getting to safely. So it's obviously a feature we love. Have you tried FSD?
I
yet?
personally haven't, but I have like in other people's cars. So I'm very excited to actually have my own and go through the experience of just, everything from charging to, navigating a trip on my own as an owner. So that's...
I know, I forget. You got it, and we immediately put it in for wrap. So. Yes,
which is crazy. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm overjoyed.
Yeah.
Like it. I want the car to stand out, right? It's my brand, and
course.
so I'm very thankful for the home team sponsorship and
you're
All
welcome.
Set as well, doing phenomenal work. So
Yeah,
I
super excited for you.
yes.
And I've wrapped all mine. I mean, the paint is a little, it's not super robust with some of the
Right.
EPA changes and the hardening elements not in there. So I've wrapped all of my Teslas and preserves the paint, and you can do a cool color.
Right.
You can do a matte finish like I did on mine, so it kind of makes it a little more unique too.
Well, and I did do a video when we picked up the car only to drop it off, across the street.
Yeah.
But we did have someone reach out interested in the Matt and Ellie VIP tour of Austin, so maybe we can tell people that that's still an option.
We did 100%. A gentleman reached out from Temecula, looking at moving here for tax purposes and just to kind of be closer to all things Elon, and really likes the idea of the growth that is projected here. We had a good probably 20-minute chat, and he's planning to come out, and we'll give him the tour, which will be a lot of fun.
Which means if you want a tour, definitely give Matt a call.
Yep.
I'll put the number in the description. It's also here on the screen, and just say that you want the Ellie in Space tour.
Would love to give it to you. It just makes such a difference. I've had some clients that call me and we go on Zoom, and I can do that too. And we'll spend half hour, 45 minutes together, and I'll give the outline using a map and some elements. But being in the car, actually seeing, oh, that's a 10-minute drive, that's a 20-minute drive, that's
Right.
a 3-minute drive. That's really close to the Google building. Here's the water. Like getting a reference for the city, actually driving through it at different times of day. There's no better way to see it, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Well, when I first visited Austin, I had no idea that I was really taking your tour and going to move here eventually, but you really sold me on Austin, and I don't regret the decision to move here at all. So
Well, it's gonna be a fun day. So some of this will be a recap, but a lot of it will be new.
Yeah.
And guys, if you want to come out, come join us.
boring brick, huh?
Boring brick from the first tunnel in Hawthorne in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
And they made bricks out of it, and that's a limited edition there. So that's kind of cool. Come look over here. We've got a.
Well, we have this too, the Roadster.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we'll be probably getting one in white or black. Mostly drunk Tesla tequila. Everyone that comes in wants a taste. This was my first encounter with Elon, and I bugged him to sign my license plate. So this was off my first Model S P85,
Wow.
and that's when I met Elon in March of 2013, just
Wow.
10 years ago. So
Is that crazy that it's been 10 years?
it doesn't seem possible, but yeah, it's crazy that it's been 10 years. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing the growth that happened. I personally expected Tesla to be even more pervasive and for more of the industry to come along faster. I think Elon anticipated that too, where they'd be forced to follow along when he got Car of the Year and all these things. But 10 years down the road, the industry is really shifting and making that turn. I think it's the beginning of the next 10 years where that explosive growth happens. It is hewn out of, I believe, is it aluminum or steel?
Wow, why don't you have this hung up? Sorry.
Well, I need to get it mounted.
Okay.
And I mean, it literally doesn't come mounted. It's just this really thick piece of metal that's cutting into my...
Let's see what the back says. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's so cool.
I guess we could leave that out somewhere.
It'll remind you.
It'll remind me to actually frame it and do something with it. We'll leave it there.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Austin is home. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Austin is home.
When people think about Austin, a lot of people think about the bars and the nightlife, but one of the big draws for me is how active the community is. I love paddleboarding on the water, but you have to be prepared. It's pretty freaking hot here.
All right, well, we're about to do a little tour in the Plaid Model S. I'll try to not scare anybody.
Or make us feel sick.
So I've got my business partner, Anwar Beck, and his cousin, Sarek. And so we're gonna do a little tour and check out Austin. So here we go. We're leaving the Compass office that's in Rollingwood, the very beginning of Westlake. Zilker Park is just on the other side, the east side of us, over the freeway. And we're gonna start off in this neighborhood. I'll give you a little background. So this is one of the closest suburbs with larger lots, larger homes, some of the best schools in Texas. Westlake High School is the high school that feeds in through this area. It runs about 8 miles from Zilker Park out towards the Galleria and Lakeway. It's about 11,000 homes, and it's a really nice little pocket. I've lived here for going on 12 years. Both kids have gone through the school system, and just been an amazing experience. So we'll give you kind of a little taste of what the neighborhood looks like, a couple of the houses, and then we'll head into downtown. But behind us, we're 5 minutes to the heart of downtown. And then you've got a bunch of shops up here. The first Trader Joe's I believe in Texas, definitely in Austin, is right here. I can actually get to it without even getting on a road. In my neighborhood, I can go right back into Trader Joe's, which, being originally from California, that was one of the things I missed. In-N-Out Burger and Trader Joe's.
Which we have both of them, which
we got both of them, so
me.
I never have to go back to California now. I'm good. Austin's got everything I need. No beach, so I have to fly to that, but other than that, it's not too bad.
It surprised me that In-N-Out is here. I thought it was like exclusively West Coast.
Yeah, and it's still privately held, and it's amazing. But I will say, there is nothing like that. People here like Whataburger. I'm sorry, Texans, mustard on your burger. No.
Whataburger's very overrated in my opinion.
What? A burger? I don't think so. I'm gonna upset some Texans, I'm sure, with that one.
Yeah.
I know.
You're upsetting one right now.
P. Terry's is not bad, but there's a specific flavor, and I think it's why people in Texas like Whataburger, right? You're raised with a particular flavor profile, and that's what you think of as, just like sounds and smells and tastes will take you back to something.
Right,
so maybe that's part of it, but I'm very happy we have In-N-Out Burger here. And so we're going to turn on a side road. This is actually Rollingwood Drive. So there's 4 areas in Westlake. They all feed to the same high school. So the general name is Westlake. It feeds to Westlake High School for all these areas. But Rollingwood and Westlake Hills are their own independent city with their own mayor and city council. And they're both a few thousand people. And they're closest to Zilker Park, closest to the water. You have Rollingwood, and then behind that, Westlake Hills.
And I love Zilker.
Zilker's amazing. So I ride my bike to Zilker in less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
It's amazing. So being a bike ride into downtown, a bike ride to Zilker, and a 5-minute drive really is the unique part about being here. But it's kind of a nice, boring suburban setting with larger homes, and it feels like you're like an hour outside of town, and yet you literally cross the highway at the bottom of this hill. You're in Zilker and then downtown, so it's pretty remarkable. Lot sizes are roughly, say, 1/3 of an acre to 1/2 acre. A lot of homes were built in the 60s and 70s, have been knocked down, and people are building much larger homes with the schools. A lot of families in the area, and so very large family-sized homes.
Well, that's a beautiful home.
That home does not suck.
So, this is the Rollingwood neighborhood?
This is Rollingwood within Westlake.
Yeah, I'll just...
But tree-lined streets. You've got, like, these homes were going by original 1960s, and then on 1/2 acres, and then they knock them down and they build something like the one next door that's a little bit larger, or the one in front of us. That's probably about a 7,000 square foot home there.
Wow. So are all these noises cicadas?
Yes, when I first moved here, I thought there were rattlesnakes everywhere.
Yeah, right? They're so freaking
They're
loud.
so loud. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to go outside and take the trash out. There's snakes everywhere. But yeah, it's crazy how noisy they are.
Yeah, they are.
So that's all we really need to see of Westlake. You get a sense of kind of what we're looking at. You're ranging really from about a little over $1 million, $1.5 million, up to 50 million. So
where's that house?
that house is about another 15 minutes further out. Actually, down the same road that Joe Rogan lives on. A lot of executives, C-suite and up, founders.
What is the zip code?
Most of it's 78746, but it's really defined as the Eanes ISD, which is the Eanes Independent School District, of which the one high school out of all 11,000 homes is Westlake High School.
Okay.
And so, like I said, it's sort of the non-compromise. You're getting, if you got kids, you've got schools that are ranked well. You're 6 minutes, 5 minutes to the Google building in downtown, and you're in a quiet neighborhood where your kids can play in the street, and you can see there's no traffic, there's nothing. You wouldn't guess when driving around this that you're a couple minutes away from a super vibrant downtown.
No.
So we're turning left on Rollingwood Drive past the last house, and we are now in Zilker Park, so that's how close it is. We're going to go under the freeway. We'll be at the soul of Austin, which they refer to Barton Springs as the soul of Austin when we go underneath here. It's an 1/8 of a mile long natural spring-fed swimming pool. It's packed. We should actually take a peek at that. Have you seen Barton Springs before?
I haven't actually gone into it. No.
Oh, well, we'll go and drive up and see if I can show you some of it.
We'll just stay in the car and you guys can pop
Well,
in.
we'll pop out and she'll get some B-roll of it because it's a tops optional.
Yeah.
Huge swimming pool, and there's usually a few thousand people there on a weekend, and it's families and all kinds of,
How many people
having
really
fun.
go topless?
I always see at least a couple. Are we right, Anwar? Back? There's usually some free spirits down there. It's like,
Keeping it weird, Austin.
Let's keep it a weird Austin. I mean, I go topless. I'm not ashamed to say. But yes, there are some people around that choose not to wear tops on their bikinis, and so it's
free the tatas.
That's it. I mean, Austin is definitely trying to keep it weird, but Barton Springs is amazing. So because it's spring fed, it comes out at a crispy 68 degrees, and it stays that way all year round. So my swimming pool gets up to like 90 degrees because our days in the summer get up to 105 and cool down to 95 at night, and so it's intolerable. And by the middle of August, your pool's so hot, they actually sell chillers to cool down your pool. I don't have one, but you get into it and it's like you're in a spa. Versus you come down to Barton Springs, there's about 40,000 gallons an hour that flow through it, so it's constantly moving. It's very clean, and it's spring fed out of the ground at 68 degrees.
And tell me, because I just bought a paddle board, you're not supposed to swim in Lady Bird Lake. Why?
So Lady Bird Lake, so this is like a tributary that comes through spring fed, and you can swim in this.
Right.
But you get down to the water, and that is fairly stagnant, very slow flowing water that is not very deep. And so that water can get up to 85 degrees, 90 degrees in the summer. And so you get a bacteriological growth that happens in there. And so you get these dangerous algae, and it's just not a place that you want to jump in the water.
Gotcha.
It's not very refreshing, and it's just not very clean in Town Lake, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
So where you swim is here or just past it. There's a free section. If you don't feel like spending $5 to go into Barton Springs, you go down to where that overflow is, and there's all kinds of dogs and more people and kayaks and paddle boards, and it's really a pretty unique area to have something like this in the middle of town. So it's the city swimming pool. This is Shakespeare in the Park behind here, this little theater. And so people sit on the lawn here, and in the summer, if we were down here at sunset, this lawn is full of yoga classes and all kinds of people exercising. And then the last hour the pool is open between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. They put on these big like stadium floodlights, and it's free. So all of a sudden all these classes get out, sunsets around 9 o'clock, and hundreds of people just jump into the pool at the end of their workouts, and it's really a pretty cool time of day to be there. But the traffic and overflow you can see right here, we're still a ways away from there, and there's folks coming in and out, parking.
And it is Saturday.
It is Saturday. Well,
4th of July weekend.
That's
4th
true.
of July weekend.
Zilker Park, this is where we have the iconic Austin city limits that's been around since the early aughts. This all becomes pedestrian and closes down in October for 2 weekends. 125 bands over 3 days, about 100,000 people in attendance per day, and it's just 3 large acts going on at any given time all around the park. And it's about 340 acres, so about a third the size of Central Park, but it's our version of big open public space. And festival's always fun, but my son comes down and plays pickup soccer games. Anwar Beck comes down and plays ultimate frisbee.
Isn't pickleball huge in Austin?
It is. No courts here in the park, but a lot of people have pickleball courts they're putting in their driveways. I mean, it's become incredibly popular.
Why?
And actually, pickleball is there's a ton going on here. There's actually a large part of whatever this federation they're calling this pickleball group that's based out of Austin.
That's my zip code.
That is your zip code. All right, 78704. You're fancy, girl. So 78704 is this area, this rectangle. So I live over here. Westlake starts over on this side and goes this way. CBD, Central Business District, and downtown are here. Cesar Chavez, where all that connects across downtown. And then your zip code is this rectangle here. And that includes South Congress, South First, South Lamar. And so those are the major arteries where there's a lot of cool restaurants, and probably the most iconic street in Austin is South Congress right here. So some really neat stuff, very walkable, very bike rideable as well. And then your price points in here are going to be for a condo or a 1-bedroom, probably in the 350,000, 400,000 up to Probably the most expensive thing on the market there right now is around 8 million, I would say. But nice and walkable, interesting topography, great coffee shops and restaurants and bars. And then of course, South Congress is just, it's got everything. It's turning a little bit, it was keeping it weird with like, you know, dive bars and thrift shops. Now there's a Hermes and a Soho House and an Equinox gym. So I don't know if it's going to become our Rodeo Drive. Some people have mixed reviews on that. They want the old Austin back, but you can't wish for things that are no longer here. So we're going to transition. There's going to be changes. Like I said, for me, the spirit of Austin really is in the people. And hopefully when you come, you have the same welcoming, you adopt that attitude where you really want to be helpful and friendly. And I think it's still a pervasive attitude in Austin. And I hope that never changes. And that's, I think, really one of the more appealing things about the city. People ask me like, what's so special about it is, and it's like, well, the weather's not wonderful in the summer. There's no beach. You know, it's interesting-ish, I guess, architecturally, but nothing lighting the world on fire. But there's just something about the city and the people that it attracts, and I don't know, kind of a free spirit. And people are just really welcoming. I mean, there's sort of the joke, like, what was it? Welcome to Austin, now go home. We hear Dallas is nice. Like that, I saw that on a t-shirt the other day. But it really is tongue-in-cheek. People here, doesn't matter where you're from, they'll ask you where you're from, but nobody's going to give you crap about it. I mean, it's a really welcoming town. And I mean, in the 90s, there were only 700,000 people here in this town. Now we're 2.3 million. So not all those people were born here. So most of the people you meet are transplants over the last, 20 years. So it's really a pretty remarkable
Well, and
spot.
you didn't grow up here.
I did not grow up here. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I grew up on Huntington Beach. And then I lived in Europe for a couple years after college. And then went back to California for 11 years in Long Beach, and then moved here 15 years ago when our kids were young, and haven't looked back. Okay, so I'm hoping it comes back, but there's the Zephyr, which is this little train track over here. Kids can hop on that and go all the way around the park. And it's been missing now for 4 years. They were making, quote, improvements.
Yeah.
And then the company that designed the engine went out of business, and it's this whole hoopla. So we're really hoping we get that, because it's kind of a fun kiddie attraction. A couple of taco trucks. You can't throw a rock and not hit 10 taco trucks in Austin. We're kind of famous for it. And you can see, look at this line of about 200 people ready to get into
Oh my God,
Barton
no
Springs.
way.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It is a Saturday, and
Is there a
it is
cap?
4th of July weekend. I don't know, because look, I mean, this pool runs an 1/8 of a mile long. Wow. And you have the lawns that come down at about a 45-degree angle on each side. And so you can really squeeze in as many people as you like. Starts over here, and there's the overflow. That goes down to the free section.
So which do you recommend, the free section or the paid?
I like the paid section. You can clean off in showers they've got here. You've got a diving board. There's always people, jumping around and being silly. Wow. And you can't even see the end of the pool, but you can see if you pan from that side over, it goes back probably another 50 yards up that way. And it's just so refreshing.
Wow, it is so packed. I would want to come here during a weekday.
It's a lot quieter during the weekday. But it's also fun with this kind of ambiance.
And look at us, both grinning and bearing it with our with our mangled legs.
Getting better though.
Yes.
You're recovering better than I am.
Yes, well.
I've still got these stupid stress fractures that won't leave me alone. And I don't know if you noticed, but you can see when you're in the pool, you can't see it through the trees, but you actually have this perfect in between the tree view of downtown just across the water.
Yeah. As I said, I've been paddleboarding and kayaking lately, and seeing downtown from the water is phenomenal.
It is, yeah.
So.
And it's the best part about Austin too is we get up in the morning, and the reason I have this boot on is I have a stress fracture. We walk 6 miles a day with a cohort of friends, and we start our day. It's an amazing way to start the day. Just clear your head, walk for 5-6 miles a day, good conversation. And we're walking on a 10-mile loop that's decomposed granite around the water. And then if you need to use a restroom or grab a coffee or a taco, you just pop off the trail and you're in the middle of downtown. So I don't know many places where you've got access to all that.
Yeah.
Usually you're on a trail, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and this is right in the heart of everything. So we've got water that's really refreshing, trails, and then all the stuff that downtown's got. It's pretty awesome. So finishing up on Zilker Park, we just left Barton Springs. We're about to cross over where Barton Springs feeds into Town Lake. But you can kind of get a reference point for how large the park is. It's a massive open green space, and it's just, you know, picnics and dogs and pick up frisbee and soccer games and, you know, you name it. And so it's walkable into downtown. We're just on the south side of the river. The trail I was telling you guys about, the decomposed granite trail that runs 10 miles around the lake, is just on the other side of the park. And that loop is just phenomenal. And you can cross over various bridges. You can do a 1 mile loop, a 3 mile, a 5 mile, a 6 mile, a 10 mile, depending on how much energy you've got. And then there's downtown in the middle of it. In fact, that's part of the trail right there, crossing that bridge.
Yeah,
and if you go back and look at all the paddle boarders, when we cross over the Lamar Bridge, you're going to see just the lake full of kayaks and paddle boards. Coming down Barton Springs, we've got some of the more iconic OG and the original versions of small chains like Chewy's Tex-Mex.
I've never been.
Fantastic Tex-Mex. You've got Baby Acapulco over here on the left. You've got, once again, more taco trucks. One of the original juice lands, which is where you get your best vegetable and fruit and specialty juices. That's a local one. And then one of my wife's favorite restaurants, Juliet, coming up here on the left. And then Tom's Market, which is sort of like a hip version of a 7-Eleven. Little sundry and organic foods and little market for the area and the neighborhood. And then we come up on South Lamar, which has arguably our best sushi, uchi in town. Although there's a few up and coming ones that are gonna put that to shame, I think, potentially. Well, not shame, but are rivaling for best spot. Throwback Peter Pan mini golf over there.
Wow.
And then we're going to cross over and you're going to get a nice view of the water and everything going on the lake today. Somebody told me they're going to knock down the McDonald's and build another McDonald's. And I'm like, I know McDonald's is in the land business, but like that makes zero sense unless, are they doing like a 3-story McDonald's or, creating an event space? I couldn't figure that one out, but we'll see what comes up there.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yes, including the Capitol, which we'll see in a minute. It's that exact replica of the Capitol in Washington, D.C., except because it's Texas, it's about 3 feet taller. It was built, let me see if I get this right. They traded out to a builder out of Chicago for unlimited amounts of stone from quarries here, the construction to be able to build it. So it was actually built for free based on how much limestone and stone they could send out towards the East Coast. So yeah, pretty good trade, I think. But we're on the south side of Town Lake. It kind of bisects the south and the north side of Austin. And on this side, you have really low rises and mid rises up and down South Lamar and a few other spots. Get a little more height closer to the water. And then on the other side, you have the Central Business District where you have unlimited height. We're going to go past a new over 1,000-foot tower that they're building over closer to Rainey Street, which will house the One Hotel. I actually stayed at a One Hotel in Nashville yesterday and the day before. Fantastic hotel, very kind of eco-friendly, really interesting mission statement and the whole vibe and feel of it. It's think about it like organic Soho, organic Soho house, like very curated furniture, but very environmentally friendly. Like they have a volunteer if you don't want to take all the clothes you've overpacked, leave the clothes in a bag here and we will clean them and have them repurposed. They have, instead of water bottles in your room, they have filtered water that's unlimited because you can drink a lot more than the little bottle complimentary bottle they give you, especially when you're going out in Nashville. And so having the water tap in there, I thought was really unique to have in each of the rooms. But really kind of a thoughtfully done, very nicely finished out hotel. So they're putting on One Hotel, and I'll show you the site for it, that's going to be near Shoal Creek over on the east side of downtown before we get to 35. Hillside Pharmacy, great cocktails, nice menu. Another local version, kind of like Tom's, of a small neighborhood grocery store. So a really cool vibe on the east side. Totally different feel than the downtown Central Business District and the high rises. And just like I said, tons of cool restaurants and shops and really a fun little pocket. So we're coming up on Franklin's. I would imagine by this time of day it is way closed and they would have sold out 3 hours ago, but we'll at least show you what the outside looks like.
What side is it on?
right-hand side. You'll see the sign right here. This is it, a kind of cinder block building, very unassuming. That line starts at the door to the right and runs all the way down. Oh, look, they even let these guys store their seats that they rent.
Oh.
So that line, so imagine there's a line,
good.
everything, it smells good, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the pit master's going 24/7. So the line is gonna go around this corner. You see these guys up here where they're walking? That's about where, maybe a little bit further where the white car is usually where it ends up by about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And people in the know start telling these people at this part of the block, you're probably not gonna get any barbecue today.
Wow.
So we're crossing over 35. Once again, this bisects Austin, really separates the west side from the east side. The soil's different on the east and west side, and that's easy, light traffic. We've got the Austonian here. That was probably the fanciest hotel or condo downtown when it was built. It's feeling a little bit dated, but it's still very expensive real estate, right off Congress. Very nice, large residences. A lot of vacancy, actually. A lot of out-of-town money just buys it and keeps it for coming in for football games or events. So it's a pretty quiet building. I definitely like the Proper a lot on the west side. You've got all the amenities downstairs. 70 Rainey has got some of the best amenities. That's on Rainey Street. And so there's a handful of high-rises that have really done amenities and service and concierge really well in town. And they've got everything from studios up through 5 bedrooms. JW Marriott, one of the largest rooms in town that you can rent. Anytime you need to put 1,500 of your best friends together for a big dinner, that's where you go. It's the entire size of the hotel in this one room. It's pretty amazing. And then we've got some underground eating areas over here.
Underground?
Yeah, so there's an underground food court with a number of restaurants that have sort of opened version 2.0. Okay, I'm just going to go through.
We didn't see that, don't worry.
That wasn't a red light. That was way yellow. Okay, hey, Anwar Beck, what's the taco shop over here? This place is awesome.
Veracruz Tacos.
Veracruz Tacos. If you're down off South Congress, it's and you just got to get a taco fix. Veracruz Tacos in the bottom of the Line Hotel, phenomenal.
Alfred's Coffee, by the way, from California.
Oh, Alfred's Coffee, and then they have a watermelon agua fresca.
Oh my God.
Oof, a watermelon agua fresca and a couple of tacos. Life is good.
Yes.
And then you get back on the trail and try to burn off the tacos and agua fresca. Rent plenty of paddle boards, and there's the Hyatt where you can take out some of those little electric boats I was talking about that you can enjoy your sunset cruises on. And then we get into South Congress. American Statesman over here is about 20 acres. Nobody prints newspapers anymore, so that has become a redevelopment project. They've actually blown through. Everything south has been limited on height, 75, then 90 feet, handful of 200 feet buildings. This is going to be a 500-foot project. They're doing a massive expansion and park expansion of the trail in front of it, and then it's going to be sort of a live, work, play. Like, think about it like a vertical domain. We have a high-end shopping area here about 20 minutes north of town that has all of your high-end shopping, and it's more mid-rise and spread out, sort of an organized mall, live, work, play, gathering area, mall.
Called
living.
the Domain.
Called the Domain.
Yeah.
So they're likening this to high-end shopping and apartments and condos and, you know, the park and the trail right in your front yard. So that's probably a 4-year project, 3 or 4 year project. But that's going to be a massive project, being 20 acres. Now we're heading into the more iconic section of South Congress. You've got one of the largest schools for the deaf. I believe it's K through college, if I'm not mistaken, but it's definitely K through 12, but I believe it's college as well. It's a massive swath. I'm not sure on the acreage, it's got to be 50 to 80 acres. It runs all the way from Congress over to First Street. Over here to the left, we just passed the Equinox Gym up here. The rooftop up here with the trees is a Soho house. All this area looked very different before. In my estimation, this could be anywhere, bougie, USA, 3rd Street Promenade in Los Angeles, etc. So it's a little bit generic. If you look to the right, this is what all of South Congress used to look like. And I'm hoping we retain some of these low-rise buildings and the iconic Austin
The
Motel.
most phallic sign I've ever seen.
Yes, that's the Penis Motel.
It's like $200 a night, right? It's like,
It's not cheap.
no, for a motel?
So have you seen the I love you so much sign?
No.
Okay, so everybody gets a picture there. That's where people propose.
Oh, gosh.
That is part of the owner of San Jose Hotel, the Penis Motel, the Austin Hotel we just went by. My favorite staycation spot, Hotel St. Cecilia, Hotel Magdalena, were developed by the same person. And she got in a fight with her girlfriend one day, and that's her coffee shop. And she wrote, "I love you so much" on the side of her coffee shop and graffitied her own space. And it stayed there for the last 20 years. So a lot of people don't know the history on that story, but it's kind of interesting. So kind of cool. Oh, Continental Club. If you want to listen to some just honky tonk or some just, it's about 30 people in there. It's tiny, it's original, it's a dive bar. But Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin used to live a couple blocks from here when he was dating Nancy Griffin and lived in Austin for about 5 years. And he would do pop-up shows there. So I had friends, are listening to Robert Plant, who could sell out every stadium for the next 10 years if you'd get back together with Jimmy Page and reform Led Zeppelin. And you're hearing Led Zeppelin tunes come out of there with Robert Plant with a max capacity of like 30 people. So when I talk about, Austin and how amazing the music scene is, there's just magical stuff that happens here. South Congress Hotel, awesome hotel as well. Kind of looks like a throwback to the 60s, but it was built about 5 years ago. And then a lot more of these sort of iconic shops. But
And Allen Boots is where I got my hat. So.
yes, another taco shop.
What is the best taco place in Austin?
You know what? I really like. It's a larger chain, but this is Torchy's, or one of the Torchy's.
Oh, I love Torchy's.
Torchy's is pretty phenomenal. I mean, Taco Deli, you can't go wrong. I love their freaking vegan. What's the best taco spot? I mean, there's so many. You can't. I mean,
It's kind of like asking what's the best barbecue place. There's a lot of
Yeah,
opinions.
there are a lot of opinions. Sea Boys, Heart and Soul. So that's like a funk band place that's down here. And really, so we're kind of moving past the hip cool section of South Congress, and it transitions more into like an auto zone and a grocery store.
Yeah.
But as the years go by, the quote cool section keeps moving further south, and so we're starting to see more Southside Pizza over here, and Teal House Coffee and Bakery, and Lucy's Fried Chicken, and some of these places that are moving and migrating further south.
Okay.
So that, I think that South Congress name is going to continue that conversion of this area into more walkable, to the point where it'll eventually get rid of the Wells Fargo and the Taco Bell and the Auto Zone and all that good stuff. This is a new 2 or 3 story grocery store they're putting in over here. This is in...
Is it going to be an H-E-B?
That's going to be an H-E-B.
H-E-B.
Here, everything's better.
I love H-E-B. I will admit that.
They have the best organics in town. I love Trader Joe's, but they don't have the same routes to be able to deliver your vegetables. And by the time you get home, your produce, oftentimes you've got about 2 days before it just wilts. And H-E-B has by far the best organics, the best selection of all kinds of food, great pricing. And if you spend over $70, they'll deliver for free. So we don't even go there anymore. They just deliver to our house, and we tip the driver.
I didn't know you
And
could do that.
it's amazing. Yeah. We since the pandemic, we have not gone to the grocery store.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're amazing. Great service, and I mean they're the gorilla in the room. They own the majority of the grocery stores in,
Yes.
In Texas.
Who's a bigger employer, Tesla or H-E-B?
Currently, H-E-B. H-E-B has 21 to 22,000 workers. When Elon, in phase 1 at Giga Texas, gets to 28,000, he'll officially be the biggest employer. Now, you're comparing a tech job to, the people spraying your veggies and all that, right? So when you compare tech jobs, actually an article came about 2 months ago that Michael Dell, who's a homegrown guy here and started Dell Computers in his UT dorm room, he had, I think, as of a couple weeks ago, 11 or 12,000 people, or a couple months ago, and Elon at the time had 10. Well, now Elon's got like 13 or 14,000 people, so if they just waited 2 months on the article, Elon technically has the biggest amount of tech employees of anyone else in Central Texas. So next year, when that comes out, Michael Dell's not not going to win that one. And by that time, I think Elon will probably be about 20,000 workers working towards a capacity just at Giga Texas Phase 1 of 28,000. Then you add to that Starlink. Starlink should be about 1,000 employees initially. That's out in Bastrop. Across the street from that, you have the Boring Company. That's only probably a few hundred right now, but that's going to be expanding. And then you've got Snailbrook, which is the neighborhood that he's self-developing out there, that I'm guessing will have over 5,000 homes, if not more.
So is Snailbrook taking place of Project Amazing that we saw some articles about?
Yeah, so Project Amazing was just the first, like I don't want to say marriage, I would say the first dating of Elon with a builder in town. So Lennar's got it. And it's about 110 homes. I think it's just testing the waters, but that will be the beginning of that. There's
Right.
thousands of acres over there that will eventually grow into. So we're gonna get on the freeway. You ready?
Yes.
Hang on.
Oh God.
Okay, that was 107. I'm gonna slow down just a little bit. Nothing to see, officer. That's me at every freeway on-ramp. I can't help myself.
It really is. He's not understanding that.
Yeah.
Every red light and every on-ramp.
I feel like if the phone were mounted, it would have fallen for sure.
Yeah, I've seen phones fly to the back seat before. It's and the nice part is, like, I'll watch it again. It's whatever speed you're going, I'm gonna hit it again. You ready? So we're going 60,
wait. Okay.
65. And 65 up to 103 in a couple of seconds. I don't know. Somebody count those numbers. See how long that took. So yeah, it's a fun car. I don't need coffee. I take off like that on a freeway entrance every morning, and I'm ready to go.
And today I'll be able to do the first launch in my car.
I'm so excited for you. That is so cool.
I have a Tesla, although it's been hard to believe because I haven't had acquisition of it.
I can't
yet.
wait to see this intergalactic blue wrap
Dude,
you've got. That is so cool.
It's going to stand out because there's so many freaking white Teslas all over the place,
It's
right?
true.
It's the free color, so I have to stand out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stick out. Like, they put lights on the bottom of it.
What?
Like, it's gonna be pimp my ride.
Oh wow.
Tricked out.
Ellie style.
Seriously, they pimped my ride.
So Town Lake. Oh my gosh, look to the left. I don't know if you can see. Look at the group. Can you see? So that is a gathering. That is a rave on the water.
Yes.
There is a central DJ in the flotilla over there.
And I've done it.
People just boogieing over there.
It's so fun.
Right? So now we're across into downtown. We're on Electric Avenue. So you've got all kinds of charging. I'm hoping Tesla chargers come over here. That's the city's old power plant up here that was converted into the Seahome project with another Trader Joe's that's in the basement. It's actually where Anwar Beck and our walking group start every morning at Merritt Coffee and head out on the trail for a few hours. Directly behind it is nearly $1 billion public library that was finished a few years ago. Pretty impressive building. And then directly next to that is the Google building. It looks like a sail. You can sort of see it through the trees there. We'll get a better view up here. Mm-hmm. So that's a little over 800,000 square feet. The plan was for that to house, like I said, a little bit of a zeitgeist shift in who's here from tech. And the plan was that was going to house Google software engineer teams. So it is still empty. Plans were, I think, for third or fourth quarter this year for that to start filling up. So Google owns that building. Here's the library. Town Lake Trail is all this to the behind the trees over here. And so you're kind of tucked in the trees, but then you look outside the trees and boom, you're here in the middle of downtown. Tons of cranes going ahead of us down Cesar Chavez, closer to Rainey Street. We'll do a quick zip through there. Ton of development and high-rise going on there. Projections are in the next 5 years, we have about 60 mid and high-rises coming downtown. To put that in perspective, you're looking at about 33 high-rises right now. So our skyline is going to triple within about a mile and a half of where we're sitting right now.
Wow.
So it's
That's insane.
W Residences and W Hotel over here. That's where they tape Austin City Limits when they do the tapings that you see on PBS. We're coming up on City Hall, Steakhouse,
What's your favorite building in downtown?
I really like the Google building.
Yeah, me too.
It's beautiful. As far as hospitality goes, the Proper wins it every year just about. It's designed by Kelly Wursler inside. She's a amazing interior designer. Really eclectic, all somehow matches and fits together. Super talented. And she actually has a place there, so she's actually at the residences at the Proper often. And so is always curating new art and design elements for that place. Fantastic bar. It's where tons of people come in and enjoy a cocktail on the weekends and evenings. The Peacock is the restaurant there. Funny story, I'll tell you, I won Dad of the Year thanks to Anwar Beck. So this was last year during Formula One, and I didn't realize it was a Formula One weekend. It was, oh no, actually 2 years ago. My daughter had homecoming, and she just wanted to go out and have dinner with some of her girlfriends and dress up in their outfits. And she's like, Daddy, can you get me a really nice restaurant to go to? I'm like, well, for senior prom, let's get you a nice table. So Anwar Beck calls ahead, and let's just say, before we found a few other clubs here, the Proper was where we spent a lot of money on regularly, time and money, and lots of clients and friends we'd take down there. So they got us this best table for 8, prefix menu, amazing. And so I go in on Saturday night, and it's the middle of Formula One weekend, and I'm sitting there kind of watching the girls get settled. I'm at the hostess stand talking to the ladies there, and this guy, this kind of thin person next to me, I actually thought it was a kid, with a German accent standing next to me, and I'm sitting there, and he's arguing with the hostess, saying, "We just want a table," and I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting. Why does this guy? I wonder who this is." I look over at him. He's like, "I'm sorry, sir. We seated our last table. We don't have any room," and he says, "But I'm a driver," and I look at him. And it's Max Verstappen who won Formula One. He's the guy. The whole reason the entire weekend is there. And my daughter has taken the last table from this poor guy, and I'm sitting there going, okay, that's a pretty cool moment. Like, Max Verstappen can't get a table at this restaurant, and my daughter and all of her friends, who I don't even know if they wanted. They were like lamb and octopus and all these things. My daughter's like, everybody just had the fries and the steak. I'm like, so they had like a 6-course meal. So yeah, Dad of the Year. I'll take the moniker. Four Seasons over here to the right. They've made some updates recently. It's been there quite a while. And they've got residents of Four Seasons here. And then all of a sudden you get to this cluster of detours and traffic, because down Rainey Street, back when we moved here 15 years ago, actually we came out 2 years before that, so 17 years ago, we came in and bought our first house in Austin up in the northern suburbs. And the agent we were working with at the time had suggested we buy something in a land bank over here on Rainey Street. At the time, it was just little tiny bungalows that were sort of run down and half occupied. And I looked at it and I said, well, the street doesn't look so great, but 2 blocks away is the Four Seasons. So I'm like, I can see, that it's going to be something good. But I'm like, how do I rent this, 700 square foot shack that's like, the windows are gone and the walls are falling in and the roof's got a hole in it? Well, it's turned into first bars. So Luster Pearl was the first bar. Liz Lambert opened that up. And then they rezoned the entire street for bars. So it became a bar area. And then they rezoned it for high rise. And so you have got this one right here. They're starting at the parking core, but that is the water line. That's going to be 700,000 square feet of office space, 350 apartments, all kinds of hospitality, and then the one resort at the bottom of it, closer to Shoal Creek. So that's going to be 1,034 feet, the tallest building in Texas, and it's going to be here in Austin. So that's pretty remarkable. Across the way over here, we've got the Fairmont Hotel. That's Las Vegas meets Austin. It's a little bit flashy, but it's a fun spot to go. Some good restaurants downstairs, but a little over the top, not as understated as Austin tends to be.
When do we think the water line will be done?
That's a good question. I would say by 25, so probably another 2 years. They've got quite, it'll be twice as tall almost as any of the other, 50-story buildings that we've got down here. And then you've got the Modern over here, which is actually making some good progress. That's going to be 55 stories, I think, and that's just going to be luxury condos. Interesting part for the condo, and I told you there's 60 of these projects coming up. Out of those 60 projects, the for sale condos are only 4 or 5 of those. There's a 5th one that just got potentially released. So almost all the rest are apartments, hospitality, office building. So the incoming ability to purchase downtown, as we add more people, and only 5 out of those 60 buildings are going to be for sale condos.
Wow.
It's really going to limit the ability going forward for inventory. So, right now, it feels like there's a glut of inventory because buyers are, sitting on their hands right now with interest rates being where they are. So there's some good opportunity and some good downward pressure on sales prices, which makes it more of a buyer's market. But once we kind of rubber band back, it's going to be very apparent that we don't have much inventory. So
Right.
as we move into, I think, 24, certainly by 25, I think the trigger point is rates going under 5%, and the market here is just going to snap back because the jobs haven't stopped moving here. The people haven't stopped moving here. Elon hasn't stopped moving here. So all the metrics that I care about are job related. Are we attracting and building out good quality jobs? Are we getting headquarters for some of these huge companies moving here? Is that going to continue to progress? And if that's there, then that's all the support you need for a robust real estate market. And so this kind of self-induced slowdown based on interest rates being 7% plus, it has just forced people to turn to renting for the short term until they get a little more affordability. So now we're going down the iconic Rainy Street. So you can see a mix. There's the new location for Luster Pearl. So kind of these converted little bungalows, outdoor space. We just had a Tesla Club event there actually a couple months ago. And then right next door, you've got a high rise that goes up 50 stories. So when you used to look down this road 15 years ago, you just saw bungalows. Now you pretty much just notice the high rises. But I think by the time this all comes to full fruition on development, you're going to end up with about 5 or 6 of these places that'll be left, and everything else is going to go vertical. So it's early on a Saturday. What time is it? 5:30.
That's kind of sad. I like the little bungalows.
Oh, I love them, and it's a shame. But I'll give you an example. The Modern. It's on a 16,000 square foot footprint, and the land valuation on that was close to 65 million. So $4,000 a square foot. And that's a pretty robust reason. When you could potentially get 65 million for that little bar that and the dirt underneath it that it's sitting on. Well, actually, that was technically 2 of those bars. That's a pretty good reason to sell.
Yeah.
And so you've got a lot of pressure on these people that have these bars. It take a long time to make 65 million serving a beer at a time. And then if you go down to the end of the street, we end up at Town Lake. And now I'm going to cut across to the east side. So we're making a little bit of a loop. Today we're really focused on kind of the central areas, the things that touch downtown and the kind of unique features. So started in Westlake, the closest, I'm going to say, boring suburbia. Now we're in downtown with high rises and a handful of bungalows. And then as you go east of 35, you're going to see it shift into a historic area where you've just got the old bungalows and they haven't zoned any kind of vertical movement. So it feels more like a traditional neighborhood. 35 was actually built on the edge of limestone. Goes up to the highway, supports the highway up and down, going north and south. It's really true all the way down to San Antonio and all the way up past Georgetown. And so if we look at this here, there's 35. Well, this thing connects Mexico on one side and Canada on the other. So we're sitting here in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday, and on the west side, Mopac over here, no traffic. And on 35, it is jammed up, and it is always jammed up. And so it's one of the only places that we've got in the country where you have this major artery that runs directly through a vibrant downtown. So all the trucks coming from Mexico to Canada and everywhere in between use this as a major artery. Makes traffic really horrendous. And so this on this side was built on limestone, as was the highway. This side over here, caliche clay soil. And that caliche is extremely expansive when it gets wet, and then it contracts when it dries out. So with the seasonality, you've got a less desirable building substrate to put homes on, and a little more engineering needed or some treatment of the soils to be able to make it buildable. So traditionally, when we look at Austin, the west side is where people developed and built neighborhoods and all the rest of it. But now we look at it, and Elon's out here in Del Valley, right? And so he's expanding that way. We've got techniques between some treatments of the soils to engineering to manage some of this, and so that expansion I think is going to continue out this direction. And then he's buying acreage all the way out towards Bastrop out here, and so you're going to see a squeeze on this part of town, especially down 71, where this area is going to become very valuable just because of its proximity to what will be, like I said, my projections when you factor in the Tesla and the Elon Musk industry jobs and the support there, 100,000 jobs moving into that general area, which is where he's chosen to expand. Also, it allows you, if you look back over here, we've got half a ring road that goes around. This is 130. Well, you could build another ring road going out here. It's really just open farmland currently. You're landlocked between water, topography, and existing homes. You'll never have, like most cities have ring roads that keep expanding as the city grows. Austin will only ever have half of a ring road. So that 130 corridor is really vital for that expansion with industry and with his companies out there, and also with the growth in Bastrop and everything in between. And so Austin is always going to be a bit of a lopsided ring road, but that expansion I think is going to continue out in concentric circles or half circles going out that direction. So if you look at some of this is the east side. These are smaller bungalows, still walkable to downtown. Price point out here for one of these little tiny bungalows is probably about 800,000 ish. The new construction here is going to be probably $2 million for that one. I would say it's probably about 3,000 square feet, just because you can walk directly over to downtown. And so you've got a lot of this transition going on from these smaller bungalows. People buy them and knock them down and build larger homes, but you can't change the aspect of the neighborhood and put a big apartment building or something. So it kind of retains this kind of quaint, smaller little urban bungalow feel.
So I hope that you enjoyed this review of America's boomtown of Austin. If you like the video, hit that like button and of course subscribe to Ellie in Space.
Done. I wasn't gonna mess that up with, oh my God, I'm sweating like a pig, but hopefully it won't show up too much. It's like, yeah, you're done. Man, it is hot in here.
Well, it's still recording. Now you're looking at about 33 high rises, but this skyline is projected to triple in the next 5 years with about 60 mid to high rises being added downtown. Right now you're looking at about 33 high rises, but this skyline is projected to triple within the next 5 years with about 60 mid to high rises being added downtown. Fuck!
No, that's still good.